Hi, I'm Larry from Boston Concession. You can hear the rain falling today. This unit is a unique little unit with a castle front end on it. It's in its final completion stages, and I thought I might give some of you an idea of what kind of plumbing is involved in a concession. I guess we'll start right here outside. This is your filler valve, and you can also use this to empty your freshwater tanks. We have PVC pump stubbed out for emptying the wastewater tank, and we have the overflow, so you know when the tank is full and you keep your tank from being damaged by too much water pressure when you're filling it. In this unit, right inside the door, you have your hand wash sink. Lots of plumbing in here, as you can see. So ultimately what you have is you have your hot water line coming down from the furnace above. Hot water line coming down from the furnace above. Then you have your intake line from the outside valve, which is also helping to drain. Here you have your cold water line going to each of the two sinks and to the hot water heater. SureFlow pump, I highly recommend them. They're great. I'm running mine off a little baby battery, as I often do in these units. So let's get a look under here, start from the ground up. This is your valve for shutting off the ability for the wastewater to come out of the unit. Down here you see a valve. That valve is used to empty what residual water would still be in these lines and the lines above. It's important if you're in an area that freezes. So everything is tapered, every single thing to the very bottom. And then here, I don't know how well you can see it, but there is a little flange with multiple connections, and all this soft tubing that's in here that runs from one thing to another is able to drain through that copper line straight out through the floor. So in the winter, you can open, can close these two lines. I'm emptying everything right now, but you can close these two handles when you're running it, and in the winter you open them, and that allows every pipe, everything, heaters, water pumps, everything to drain completely out. In this unit, we have a 35-gallon wastewater tank. We have a 15-gallon freshwater tank. Most towns, and you're going to need to call and check, most towns want to have 15% larger wastewater than freshwater. 15 gallons of freshwater is often a reasonable standard. You have your water pipes, cold going in, hot coming out. One good point for everybody is do not run soft line from your hot water heater back in hot water, because you're going to melt those lines, certainly in systems like we use. So you have your wastewater tank that has a valve to empty. You have all of your drains going in. Some towns want a detached drain, and the reason is that they don't, you know, in a typical restaurant environment, they don't want black water, toilet water backing up and being able to get into a dish sink. Obviously that cannot happen in these units because the wastewater tank is so substantially larger. Nevertheless, this is called an indirect drain. It's only required on the dish sinks, not the hand sink. In fact, it's seldom used in concessions, but every now and again you run into an inspector who is a stickler for the code, not necessarily the common sense. That is very seldom the case. I have found that the best thing you can do is go see your health inspector as you're planning your unit, including ordering them through us at bostonconcession.com. I have found that they are very helpful, very friendly, I'll tell you, as far as government people go, these guys typically are wonderful to work with, and a simple phone call and they're more than happy to let you know exactly what you need, so that you don't find yourself a deer in the headlights with something all plumbed out and ready to go and unable to use it because it doesn't meet code. The codes are set to keep everybody safe, and we see people getting sick on the news every day of the week. We all understand that these measures are for our own well-being, and it's what we'd expect from people working in food stands. So you start off with the most antiseptic unit you can. You make sure everything is washable and clean. You make sure that you have ready access to your hand wash sinks, and that your dish sinks will have adequate spacing from the hand wash sink. Typically you need dividers and all kinds of things that they're near one another. I like to keep them separate. In this unit we have a sliding service window at a stainless steel counter with a hand sink readily available. The lower countertop areas are not in yet. They're going in shortly. I'm just making this for my friend Doug, who ordered this unit. We're finishing up the food prep counter areas now. This is a very unique unit for a very nice guy. So, one quick last run through of the plumbing. First, you need a filler valve outside so you can hook a hose to it. You're going to need a dryer hose or a custom connector, which you can get at probably Home Depot, in order to hook your hose to that spigot to fill this tank. You open it up, you fill the tank, you know it's full. When your overflow starts spilling out. Now your tanks are full, you shut the valve off, you remove everything. Later, when you want to make sure the tank drains, you can open the very same filler, which I recommend, to get rid of it. You have your cold water coming back to your furnace, to your sinks. You have hot water returning from the furnace to the sinks. You have a feed line from the hose and from the pump running to the cold water so that all the water in the unit will run. You have a T in the filler area that allows you to open and drain all of the lines related to filling the tank. You have two valves that are intended to, as they are now, be opened to drain all residual water out, so you can completely evacuate the system of all water in areas that freeze. This obviously would not be a case in Florida, though every now and again I understand it freezes there as well. So the indirect drain, most will not expect it, which is the reason why the wastewater tanks are larger. It's so that you can't have water backing up. But it comes up infrequently, and your health inspector will let you know if you just ask a few simple questions. So the questions are, what size water tanks, fresh and waste, would you like me to have in my unit? Do I need to have an indirect drain on my dish sink, or is the larger capacity of the waste satisfactory for that mission? How many sinks do I need? If you're serving simple hot dogs in New York, often they just want one sink, and you see that often. Most food service, for just about anything, most food service requires two sinks, one for dishes and one for washing hands. Very often you are required to have multiple sinks. Very often you're required to have multiple sinks, and that would be three dish sinks and one hand wash sink. 4 sinks total is very common. You're going to need a sliding window, and you're going to want that window to be removable, so when the weather is awesome you can do that. So here's just a quick overview again of some plumbing. This is a temporary tank. just to run everything because it's pouring rain outside. There's a lot more information. There's a lot of YouTubes out there from BostonConcession.com. I hope for those of you who are trying to do your own units that all of this is helpful. We've learned over many units what's required to keep these units sound and safe, and this is what's required. So please consider, maybe make some notes on what you need to do plumbing wise to have your unit all set up and to be able to evacuate all the lines easily and whatnot. The units that we build, we have very basic standards to our custom units, and we do some very custom units, this being one of them. There will be some video later of the outside of this unit, which is very cool and very unique. Looks like a little castle. We look forward to hearing from you. So come and see us. BostonConcession.com. We ship concessions all over the country. Each is built to order, and you can expect some period of time between an order and the pickup date. Typically that might be 4 to 8 weeks, and it runs a little longer in some instances. Alright, signing off from BostonConcession.com. Check out some of our other videos. Best of luck in your new choice of work.